So today we'll be talking about nerves and pain. Now, just one thing I want to get out of the way real quick. Just for you guys know already, like, pain can be bothersome. And and it goes away sometimes, or usually. But unfortunately, about 40% of the time, people seem to have this pain without any normal cause. And why is that, we will get into a little bit. But why pain even works is all up in the brain and basically part of your nervous system. That's probably why it's paired together in this chapter that I read. And before we do get into any of the specifics though, let's go talk about some of the harder, like less, not easily explained kinds of pain. So one of them is phantom pain. And so this is when your body tells you that you have pain in the area of a body part you don't have anymore. Like, for example, if your arm or leg got cut off from an accident or an amputation, phantom pain would be you would feel that pain in that arm or leg. Like, for example, I'll say my fingers hurt in my left arm, but if my left arm was cut off, where am I going to feel that pain? So that's where it's so like unexplained, and that's where it's very confusing. Now, that's why it's like so confusing, because the brain is what's interpreting and perceiving it as pain, because there is no arm there to feel the pain. And that's why it's so hard to explain and so hard to help people with it, because you could usually give painkillers in that area and you'd be fine, or numb the area. But there's nothing to take care of if there is no body part there. So that's what makes it so troublesome. And a close rival to that would probably be something called trigeminal neuralgia. And basically what this is, the other name for it, because technically a French person discovered it, is tic douleur. And so this is when your face gets this sharp pain. Sometimes it's constant, sometimes it's spontaneous. This sharp pain that goes across the face. And luckily, it's not 100% no cause. But, for example, I guess if you can say some of the lucky ones, it would be because there's a tumor pressing against the trigeminal nerve. Now, here's a little diagram I drew. And there was no images I could find that has an actual tumor pressing against the trigeminal nerve. But basically, this is, imagine these like black lines here are like the trigeminal nerve, and a tumor is pressing against it. And since the tumor is pressing against it, the nerves are sending signals to the brain saying that there is a constant pain, or there's a pain on the tumor. Maybe the tumor sometimes or doesn't always like hit all the time. But if it's benign, then technically all you have to do is get it out, and there's no worries about it. And then there you go. That's basically how you would solve it. But the problem is, more often than not, there is no cause of trigeminal neuralgia, because the person does not have a tumor on their face. And so this is what makes it, again, troublesome, because, you can maybe shock some painkillers here and there on the face, but you're not really solving the problem. There is no actual cause. And there's no physical cause right there. And it could just be the brain, for some reason, perceiving there's pain right there. Now let's talk about the brain itself. And what's very interesting about it is there's no definite pain area. Now you might see those like charts that have, they'll like wrap around the brain. They'll say that, okay, so this is like the face, this is like the eyes, nose, and okay, this is the rest of the body on top of it. Like, there are some diagrams that talk about that. And obviously it was kind of hard to draw, so I didn't want to draw it and maybe give you guys an incorrect representation. But you could probably go find that online. But what's so hard about this? Why is there no pain area? It's because whenever you do feel pain, different parts of your brain light up, or there's different brain activity when you feel the same consistent pain. Like, for example, you could be poked in the same shoulder consistently, and not always the same brain activity is happening. Could be in different parts of the brain. And so that's what makes it so hard to define a definite pain area. And so that's why no pain area. That's why we can't find it, because, if you're feeling something with your finger, it's typically the same parts of your brain that's being active That's why we are able to determine that certain region is for that specific purpose. And another peculiar part of the brain is that for the pain itself, for example, this is the brain and that this is like the nerves, and if you feel pain, it travels all the way to the brain. But the brain itself does not have any pain detectors, nor is it a pain detector itself. So if you were to get stabbed directly in the brain, like forget about skull and skin and muscle on your head, but just straight into the skull, you would probably not feel it because your brain does not have any nerves there. And this is again something that we have to brush off and say we don't know yet, because obviously there's not like a whole line of people wanting to feel pain to be test subjects, just to feel pain and people to record. Also, a lot of it can be unethical, so that is why it's so hard to get tests and understand it. Now, the concept of pain, there are probably several definitions, but there is no real meaningful way. Like maybe you'll have a textbook with a bunch of big words about it, but it all varies, and it's so hard that a lot of it is described as just dull or stinging or aching. For example, your face could ache because you have a migraine or your head hurts, or you might have muscle pain because it aches and you have a lot of you have a lot of buildup in your arms, or maybe you're just getting stabbed, and that is a different kind of pain because your body is literally getting intercepted by a hard object, and that is also a different kind of pain. So that's why pain does not have a definite definition, so to speak. Now, what we do know for sure is that inside the nervous system, there are these things called nociceptors. Now, these nociceptors are quite important because they are what determines what hurts and what doesn't hurt. And so basically this is where we feel pain. So, and actually, in case you were curious, the time it takes for you to maybe feel a hot pan or maybe to poke your hand with a needle and actually understand that through your brain and not just by touching it is actually 120 meters per second. Now that is really, really fast, and definitely not light speed reaction, but it's quick enough to be almost instantaneous for us to feel. Now, the nociceptors feel supposedly three types of pain. And so, for example, one of them is thermal. Now, what's so special about thermal? Thermal is like, oh, you touch dry ice, or, you accidentally touch a hot pot and you get burned. That is a type of pain. That is one of the three pains from nociceptors. The second type is chemical. Now, what does this mean? Oh, this is like chemical reactions in your body that are causing this kind of pain. For example, like they're not physical, you don't actually feel it, but for some reason your body's perceiving it as it. It is not the same as phantom pain. The phantom pain is not a chemical. It's not any of these because the nociceptors are not actually detecting it. But for example, if your body aches, like you have some cramps, or you have some damaged tissue, that is a chemical pain. And the last but not least is thermal pain, or mechanical pain. Mechanical pain. And this is when you stub your toe or you get hit in the head. But what is quite interesting is there is no nociceptors that actually detect mechanical pain, which is quite weird because it's not to say that mechanical pain does not exist, because if I am literally going to hit my hand against the table and I hit it really hard, I'm going to feel that and I'm going to get some pain. My brain is going to detect that. The nociceptors are going to detect it as pain and they're going to receive it to the brain for me to feel that pain. But it's so interesting because it's not there is no nociceptors that actually feel it, that actually do have the pain. And so that is what's quite interesting about it. Now, not all these pains are bad. Like, for example, one interesting thing is spice. Spice, for example, is a type of pain, but it's one of those perceived types of pain. For example, when you have something really spicy in your mouth, all of a sudden you start sweating, you start dripping, and you feel it's very hot in the room. Like if it's like maybe like one of the hottest peppers that you've ever tried. But there is no actual temperature of it being hot, which is what's so interesting about chilies, because you can put them in the freezer and then you take a bite of it, it will still be spicy and you'll still feel hot from it. You'll still be sweaty. And not all the pain is bad. Apparently some of them you actually enjoy. Like, for example, aching body parts you might enjoy because it's a recreation of your hard work, or it's a result of your hard work. Now, this is basically all I have for now, because a lot of the next ones have a lot of big, complicated words, and I want to make sure I have a clear definitions of each one and definitely get some better diagrams instead of just, you know, the ones I kind of had to wing just by looking at different images. But I will get back to you guys and I will do another video on this because I find it quite interesting. Alrighty, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.